I don't want to spend my life just waiting for you to make it big. I want to actually live, Will. Her words hit me like a slap. I stopped pacing, laptop still open in my hand, cables trailing from the desk to the couch. Clara stood by the window, arms crossed, her reflection flickering in the streetlights coming through the blinds. The whole apartment smelled of burnt coffee and stress. It was almost midnight, but neither of us wanted to give in. I set the laptop down, the plastic clacking against the coffee table louder than I meant. I'm building something real here, Clara, I said, trying to keep my voice calm, even though my chest was tight. You know the contracts with Nereus Tech came through last week. I just need a little more time. She cut me off, rolling her eyes, her voice sharper than before. You always need more time, Will. It's always next year, next launch, just right around the corner. I'm tired. I want to wake up excited, not just waiting for you to finally make something happen while I post another campaign for $12 an hour. Come on, that's not fair, I protested, standing up straighter, my hands out to her. You said you believed in us and what I'm doing with the navigation startup. She turned her back to me, grabbing her phone off the sill. You dream, Will, but your dreams don't pay rent, and I'm not 22 anymore. I see people living, actually living. You don't even notice me anymore. That's not true, I said, my voice cracking a little as I stepped toward her, but she was already moving. She shoved past me, swinging her bag over her shoulder with a careless snap. You're obsessed with your work, Will. I get maybe 5 minutes of your attention a day. I'm done begging you to come home before midnight. You hardly even look at me anymore. I flinched, not because she was wrong, but because I'd seen this coming in flashes, little moments. Her long showers with the door locked, how she'd snatch her phone away when I entered her room, the sudden uptick in nights out with the girls. Still, I tried one last time, voice soft. Clara, wait, can we just talk, please? We're both tired. Let's not. But she was shaking her head, hair falling around her face, eyes hard. I don't want to talk circles. I want out. I want more. Before I could say anything else, she yanked the door open. The hallway's cold air rushed in. She paused for half a second, eyes searching mine for something. I have no idea what. You could have just chosen me, she tossed over her shoulder, voice flat, and then she was gone. The door clicked shut. I stood frozen, hands balled into fists, breath shuddering in the silence. I watched the clock tick past midnight. The apartment looked emptier than it had ever felt. I barely slept. My mind kept replaying her words, the way her face twisted with contempt, the look in her eyes when she said, I want out. I tried texting her once, just can we talk in the morning, but she never replied. When I woke up, the bedroom closet was half empty. Her side of the bathroom sink was cleared out. No toothbrush, no blue bottle of perfume, none of her tangled jewelry left on the counter. I checked her dresser, my hands shaking. She'd taken all her clothes and even her backup charger. It was like she'd planned this for days. I wandered into the living room, phone in my hand, thinking maybe she'd left a note. Maybe there was something, anything, explaining what the hell just happened. Nothing. No text, no scrap of paper, just the faint scent of her shampoo lingering near the front door. I slumped onto the couch, staring at my phone. Out of habit, maybe desperation, I opened Instagram. And there it was. The photo hit me like a sucker punch. Clara perched on the bow of a huge white yacht, half a bottle of champagne visible in the corner. She was smiling wider than I'd seen in months, sunglasses pushed up onto her head, blue water sparkling behind her. In the background, I could just make out a man's hand on her back. The caption read, New Horizons. The comments were already rolling in. Wow, living your best life, babe, and that's a gorgeous boat. Who's the lucky guy? I stared at the screen, heart hammering. I zoomed in, my thumb trembling, trying to make out the man's face in the reflection off the chrome railing. All I saw was a flash of a gold watch, A shock of gray hair. Someone older. Someone rich. Suddenly, all the detective work I'd done in my head, her late nights, weird phone calls, the uptick in networking events, snapped into place. She didn't just leave. She moved up. She traded me in. I called her phone, straight to voicemail. I sat there, phone to my ear, listening to her old message. Sorry, can't pick up. Leave something juicy, like it belonged to a stranger now. As the day got brighter outside, the apartment just got emptier. I realized the trust I built my life on was already gone, replaced by a photo with a stranger's hand. I didn't even remember driving over, just that my hands were raw from gripping the steering wheel. I buzzed up to Noah's apartment and he answered in pajama pants, one untied drawstring hanging, hair sticking up like a hedgehog. The second he saw my face, all his joking attitude vanished. He pulled me in for a hug before I could say a word. Noah's place smelled like old pizza and his girlfriend's lavender candles. Already on the couch were Jen and Tyler mid-argument over some show. The TV flicked off as soon as I came in. Will, man, what's going on? I just stood there, mouth opening and closing. She's gone, I managed. Clara. She left last night. Tyler's eyebrows shot up. Wait, what? Like left or left as in needed space? She took everything. Like her half of the closet, toothbrush, laptop, all her stuff. There's nothing left of her here. They stared at me, waiting for a punchline. I could feel my jaw clench, my nails digging into my palm. Did she say why? Jen leaned forward, her voice full of real worry. I gave a tired laugh. She said she doesn't want to spend her life waiting for me to make it. Noah shook his head, rubbing his eyes. No way. Dude, I haven't seen you in weeks because you've been working so hard. She just bailed? I nodded, staring at my shoes. Jen gave me a little side hug, but Tyler kept frowning. Hold up. I just saw her on Instagram a couple hours ago. I swear I saw some champagne yacht thing, like she was all glammed up with some old rich-looking dude. I thought maybe it was a work event or something. I stiffened. A yacht? I asked, the words scraping out of my throat. What old guy? Tyler pulled out his phone and scrolled, squinting at his screen. It was trending. Here, look. He handed it over. There was Clara, bright and shiny, sunglasses and all, leaning right into a guy who looked every bit the retired early, owns several small islands type. Charles. The guy's hand was practically glued to her hip, her smile wide and fake as a celebrity endorsement. Noah whistled. Wow. That's okay. That's more than just needing space. She looks like she's living in a music video. Jin's face twisted. Did you know about this? Was she seeing him before? I shook my head, numb. No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. We've been fighting, but I never thought. Noah was gentler. Man, don't do this to yourself. She's making herself public, and with that guy? I'm sorry, Will. That's messier than it had to be. Tyler was scrolling again. Look, there's more. People are sharing her stories. Yacht parties, expensive dinners. It's all over. He glanced up, a little embarrassed. Sorry, man. People are talking. Jin reached out. Do you want us to say something to her? Or keep an eye out? I shook my head. No, it's done. If she wanted to talk, she'd have called. I just need to know what the hell happened. Noah was quiet for a second, then he leaned across the coffee table. Will, you sure you didn't see this coming? I mean, she always wanted more. Fancy travel, big events, that influencer stuff. Maybe she just lost patience. Jin glared at him. Noah, not now. No, it's fine, I said quickly, not really believing it. He's right. I should have noticed. She hasn't looked at me the same for months. I thought if I just worked harder. Jin's phone buzzed with a news alert, startling everyone. The room felt so small, all their faces flickering between pity and disbelief. Suddenly, my own phone lit up. Clara's name. I swiped it open with shaking hands, heart hammering like I'd been caught doing something wrong. Don't call. I need space to figure myself out. Please respect that. No, I'm sorry. Not even a goodbye. Just cold, robotic words. I read it aloud, my voice sounding hollow. The room went silent, everyone watching me process it in real time. Noah muttered something under his breath, but I barely heard it. There it was. Evidence. Physical. In my hand. I could see the dots connecting. The yacht, the old man, the public photos, and now her message shutting me out completely. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was fact. She was gone, and she wanted everyone to know it. I stood there in my best friend's living room, surrounded by people who cared, and I'd never felt so completely alone. Jin squeezed my arm, but all I could think was how fast your whole life can turn into gossip for other people's group chats. The sound of another alert buzzed on Tyler's phone, and I knew the story wasn't done unraveling. Not by a long shot. I thought maybe if I just stayed busy, if I buried my head in a spreadsheet at some random cafe, I could push it all out of my mind. So I ended up at this coffee spot near the Marina, headphones in, laptop open, trying to lose myself in code and hardware specs. I picked a corner table away from the big windows, hoping nobody I knew would spot me right now. But you know how it is? The world is small and gossip travels fast, especially in communities where everyone's always peeking over the fence to see whose boat has gotten bigger. I was halfway through a draft for a new navigation module when two voices cut through my music. I recognized the first one, Lisa, a freelance graphic designer I'd hired for some UI work months ago. She came in with Grant, another regular in the local tech scene. I tried to look busy, but the weird acoustics of the place funneled their conversation straight to my table, like the universe wanted me to hear every word. Lisa's voice was pitched with excitement. Did you see Clara's latest post? She's basically living on that yacht now. Full glam, champagne, like she's starring in some reality show. Grant snorted. Yeah, it's a wild upgrade from her last gig. I mean, wasn't she with that navigation startup guy? What's his face? The one who's always running around in the same windbreaker. Lisa laughed. Will, right? I met him at one of their demos. He always seemed nice, but honestly, can you blame her? Charles has real money in those parties. Clara's everywhere now. It's like she won the lottery. I hunched down, throat tightening, hands suddenly sweaty. They had no idea I was sitting 10 feet away, listening to my own humiliation dissected like a punchline. Grant kept going. People are saying she landed the deal of the year. I heard Charles drops more on wine in a night than Will makes in a month. And Clara, she's already got her own brand now. All those followers. That's how you switch lanes. Lisa made a teasking sound. It's still harsh. I mean, poor guy. He must be dying inside with everyone watching her run off. I can't imagine showing my face at networking events if my wife did that. Grant lowered his voice a notch, leaning over the table. You think he even knows? Or is he just pretending it's all business as usual? Lisa shook her head. I saw him at that startup breakfast last week. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I almost felt bad for him. But then again, if you can't keep up, the world moves on. Their words stung, each one landing with surgical accuracy. I wanted to get up and walk out, but my legs felt glued to the floor. I realized this wasn't just a personal disaster anymore. It was public entertainment. The private pain I'd been carrying had been passed around, chewed up, and spat out by people I barely knew. I was the story now, the poor guy everyone whispered about behind lattes and Bluetooth keyboards. My phone buzzed on the table. The screen flashed a calendar reminder, Smithson Marine Group, 11 a.m., Cafe Baldwin. I forced myself to breathe. Work. Keep it together. I tidied my notes, locked my laptop, and tried to shake off the feeling of being picked apart. At 10:57, I spotted Carl Smithson himself coming in, one of my biggest potential clients, a man with a handshake like a vice and a reputation for not tolerating drama. He slid into the seat across from me, ordering an espresso before even looking at me. I went into autopilot, launching into my pitch about our custom yacht navigation suite, the market trends, even some early adopter data. But Carl barely listened. After a few minutes, he put up a hand, stopping me mid-sentence. I froze. He cleared his throat, not quite meeting my eyes. William, look, I'm going to be straight with you. There's been chatter about your situation. Normally I wouldn't care, but my partners, they're concerned. We run a tight ship, so to speak, and, well, publicity matters, especially the kind that sticks. I stared at him, not sure I was hearing right. I'm not following, Carl. My personal life doesn't affect. He cut me off again, shifting in his seat, obviously uncomfortable. It's not just gossip, Will. Investors are skittish about drama, and your name's been popping up in all the wrong places. Yacht circles, social feeds, even a couple who's who newsletters. I heard about the yacht and your wife. My CFO literally asked if you show up with a camera crew. We can't have our projects turn into a circus. I sat there, heat crawling up my neck. I could see Lisa and Grant across the cafe, eyes flicking over now that Carl was raising his voice. They were watching the show, probably texting friends. The humiliation was complete. Work, pride, and reputation, all unraveling in public. Carl finished his espresso in 2 angry gulps, then stood. We'll revisit this once things cool off. I think it's best we hit pause for now. He left without shaking my hand. The cafe was suddenly too bright, too loud. My phone buzzed again, another meeting alert I couldn't face. I shoved everything into my bag and walked out, acutely aware that everyone's eyes followed me. There goes Will, the guy who lost his wife and his shot in the same week. I couldn't breathe, but somewhere in that humiliation was a spark, anger, maybe, or just a need to survive. If they all thought I was done, they had another thing coming. Honestly, if Benjamin hadn't texted, I probably would have ended up back in my apartment staring at the wall for hours. His message was short, drinks, my treat. You need to get out. I almost said no, but my phone was still buzzing with reminders of everything I'd just lost, and Benjamin had always shown up when nobody else did. When I got to the bar, he was already there, a glass of whiskey in front of him, laptop open and covered in sticky notes. He spotted me immediately and waved me over, his face tighter than usual, but with that steady spark in his eyes. William, he said, standing up for a quick hug. He didn't say, how are you? I think he could see enough in my face. Sit. I already ordered your usual. You look like you could use it. I managed a weak smile and slid into the booth. He waited a beat, then shook his head. News travels fast, huh? Social circle's been eating itself alive over the Clara thing. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I feel like I'm public property all of a sudden, I said, my voice brittle. Even clients are bailing. I don't even know where to start. Benjamin leaned in, dropping his voice. Then start with this. You're still the sharpest tech brain I know. That hasn't changed. All the rest, noise. Let's talk next moves instead of licking wounds. He slid a folder across the table. I glanced at it, sketches of floating apartments, financial projections, a little diagram of Marina berths. My head snapped up. You're serious? Is this from the pitch you did last fall in Boston? I asked, the old instinct to problem solve finally kicking in. He nodded, grinning. And the market's finally waking up. I've got funding lined up from 2 VCs. What I don't have is a technical lead with real oceanic systems experience and a name that signals innovation. That's you, Will, if you want it. I blinked, fighting that instinct that says, you're not ready. You know my reputation's in the gutter, right? Half these people probably think I'm the guy who lost his wife to a yacht and lost his grip on reality. Benjamin's tone got firmer. Screw their gossip. Investors don't care about your ex. They care about solutions, profit, and who gets it built. I need someone who knows yachts inside out, and you're the only one who's impressed every engineer I've hired. You want real work, real equity, and a chance to be untouchable? Let's build something no one else can touch. The waitress brought me a drink, and I realized my hands weren't shaking anymore. For the first time in days, I felt something other than humiliation. I looked at Benjamin, and he just sat there, letting me process, not pushing, not pitying, just ready to move. I finally spoke, my voice steadier. What's the timeline? You sure you want me on this, baggage and all? He smirked, sliding a second folder over. The timeline's aggressive. That's why I want you. And trust me, your so-called baggage makes you hungrier. You're not the only one with a target on his back in this industry, believe me. We started bouncing ideas, his sketches filling up with my notes, automation protocols, security system tweaks, scalable hardware for rough water. The bartender had to come over twice to ask us to quiet down. Benjamin clapped me on the back after I outlined a custom navigation feature. That, right there, that's why we're going to win. I realized I was speaking faster, my thoughts sharper. Each problem was something I could actually solve, not like the mess Clara had left me in. This was a puzzle, and I could see the picture forming. My anger was still there, but colder now, channeling itself into plans and bullet points. Eventually, the bar started emptying out, and Benjamin leaned in again, this time his voice low and almost conspiratorial. One more thing, he said. I haven't told the VCs yet, but we're about to get an offer to buy out an entire marina. All the slips, all the units, everything. And rumor has it, the place is crawling with, let's say, interesting VIPs. Some of them might be familiar faces from your ex's new world. He grinned, watching for my reaction. We get this deal? You'll have a front row seat to the show. And you get to write the next act. I sat back, feeling a current shift inside me. This wasn't just survival. It was a shot at something bigger, maybe even redemption. I could feel my priorities realigning, anger melting into focus. Benjamin raised his glass. To new tides, my friend. I clinked mine against his, feeling that spark of cautious hope. As we left the bar, Benjamin tossed his arm over my shoulder. We'll show them what real staying power looks like, Will. Just watch. I walked into the night, blueprint folder under my arm, ready, finally, to start building something that couldn't be taken away by the next viral photo or rich stranger with a yacht. By the time the Marina deal closed, my days were all motion, site meetings, phone calls with legal, spreadsheets, walking blueprints across mud and plywood. Benjamin handled the big picture stuff. I poured over every system, every dock, every security feed. It was the kind of chaos I thrived in, and my name was attached to something with actual permanence for once. The morning we started the site walkthroughs, Benjamin met me at the security gate, already on the phone. He hung up and nodded at me, all business. Contractors will be here by noon. Half the tenants think we're about to bulldoze their yachts, including some people you might recognize. You ready? I shrugged, sticking my hands in my jacket pockets. They'll figure it out soon enough. Let's get this over with. The Marina was busy, crew in uniforms, a few nervous-looking old-timers out on the docks pretending to check lines. I walked slow, letting my new badge catch the sun. We passed the harbor master's office where I caught a couple of the staff eyeing us, whispering behind their hands. One woman, a lifer named Sandra, pulled Benjamin aside. "You're really going to evict half the club?" she asked, half accusatory. Benjamin shot her a measured look. "Nobody's being evicted. Renovations. Upgrades. New contracts will go to those who play ball." She nodded, unconvinced, but stepped back. I kept moving down the dock, past a cluster of glossy powerboats until something made me stop. There, gleaming under a canvas awning, was the yacht I could have identified blindfolded, the same one from all those photos, Charles's. The name painted in gold, hull spotless. Two staffers in matching polos fussed over the chrome rails, a couple cases of champagne waiting in a rolling cart. I felt a slow grin start, the kind that doesn't quite reach your eyes. For the first time since it started, I had something they didn't know about. Real leverage, real control. I took a few steps closer, watching as Clara stepped out of the main cabin in a white sundress, sunglasses perched on her head. She barely even glanced at the workmen. She was too busy on her phone, probably posting her Marina view for another round of fans. Charles came out a moment later, laughing loud enough so everyone would hear, a bottle already opened before noon. Benjamin came up behind me, following my gaze. "I see you found the VIP section. You sure you want to keep your name off the paperwork? That's the guy?" "That's him," I said, voice calm, almost amused. "And she's still playing her game. Doesn't even know she's standing on ground she doesn't own anymore." One of the workmen, older, built like a fridge, nudged up beside us, clearly uncomfortable. "You the new managers? Heard there's talk of new rules. Are we keeping our jobs or getting replaced by your guys?" Benjamin gave him a professional smile. "Anyone who wants to work hard is going to find a place here. But things are changing. Security, maintenance, the whole approach. If you want to stay, you adapt." The guy nodded, glancing nervously at Charles's yacht, then hurried off. The detective muscle in my brain kicked in. I started pacing the slips, noting which boats were empty, which owners looked like they'd gotten wind of something big coming. I could see people gossiping, their eyes flicking to Benjamin and me, sometimes lingering on Clara and Charles like they were royalty about to be dethroned. I overheard snippets. "Is that Charles's new partner? Heard the tech guy bought the whole place. She'll flip when she finds out who's in charge." We walked the perimeter, checking building plans, the floating apartment mock-ups, the security feeds. Benjamin pulled me aside as a construction crew began unloading demo materials. "You realize how poetic this is, right?" he said quietly. "Guy takes your wife, makes a spectacle out of it, and now you're literally holding the fate of his $1 million toy in your back pocket. You want to play it slow or make a show?" I shook my head, smiling a little. "I just want the project to work. If Charles and Clara get caught in the storm, maybe that's just fair weather." A staff member, young, sweating with a clipboard, ran up, looking frazzled. "Phoebe, William, right? This was just sent over for you by one of the yacht club's board members." He held up a heavy white envelope. I opened it right there. Inside was a glossy invitation, gold script across the top. "Farewell to the old, ring in the new." Hosted by Charles and Clara. The date was circled 3 days from now. In big, bold letters at the bottom, all current Marina residents and partners cordially invited. Benjamin read it over my shoulder, letting out a low whistle. "A send-off party for the whole old guard, hosted by the king and queen of the dock. I wonder if they know you'll be in the room." "They will soon," I said, tucking the invite in my pocket. The power dynamic had flipped so fast and nobody suspected a thing. As the sun dropped behind the masts, I watched Charles strut up and down the deck, Clara laughing at his side. In 3 days, it would all be out in the open. I could feel the anticipation building like the tide just before a storm. The club was packed. String lights tangled around the rafters, cheap jazz drifting over the clatter of champagne flutes and the snap of camera phones. Everyone dressed to impress, crowding around the buffet like it was opening night at Cannes. Charles was in his element, strutting from table to table, Clara glued to his side in a sequin dress, smiling for every photo. You could feel the tension in the air. The old guard bracing for whatever change meant, the influencers snapping away, everyone whispering about the new owners. I slipped in quietly, Benjamin at my shoulder, both of us in suits, but with a different kind of confidence. Neither of us touched the drinks table. Too many eyes, too many people waiting for gossip. Benjamin scanned the room for board members. I just watched, taking it all in, feeling the odd weight shift of being the secret center of the story. Charles finally banged his glass with a knife, calling for silence. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us to celebrate an era of excellence, luxury, and the fine community we've built here at the Marina. His voice boomed. He wore that permanent, self-satisfied smirk. He raised his glass. To old friends, new ventures, and he looked pointedly at the cluster of Marina staff near the bar. To the high standards that keep us above the rest. My dear Clara and I are proud to have brought a little more sparkle to this place. Scattered applause. Someone near the door muttered, "He's really laying it on thick." Then Benjamin stepped forward with practiced calm, one hand on my shoulder. If I could have everyone's attention for just a moment, the Marina's entering a new phase. I'm thrilled to announce our successful acquisition and even more honored to introduce my new partner, the creative force powering our vision. He paused, letting the room look around. William Maddox. You could hear the ripple. Heads turned, conversations cut off mid-word. Clara's smile actually fell, at first confusion, then disbelief, then something like panic. Charles nearly dropped his glass. Benjamin pressed on. William's leadership in maritime tech and design gave us the edge. We're reimagining what's possible here. Expect upgrades across the board. The marina, the club, the floating apartments. We'll be meeting with all current tenants about next steps in the coming weeks. He looked straight at Charles. No exceptions. Murmurs exploded. People were grabbing each other's arms, whispering so loud it was basically shouting. One older board member whispered, "That's Clara's ex, isn't it?" Right as Clara locked eyes with me, her face a mask of shock that cracked around the edges. Charles tried to recover, raising his voice. Well, surely there's a way for legacy owners, like myself, to remain part of the future. We've contributed a lot to this place after all. Benjamin smiled, all teeth. Of course, Charles. Everyone has an equal shot, assuming they meet the new terms. No special treatment. Clara stepped forward, voice a little shrill. William, this must be a joke. You're not... I just nodded, cool as I could manage. It's all real, Clara. You'll want to check your email tomorrow. Things are changing, and decisions are getting made fast. All the color drained from her face. She turned to Charles, who was already red with anger, jaw clenched tight. A couple staffers looked like they wanted to vanish into the floor. The party energy shifted, no longer Charles's show. People were openly staring at me now, some with grudging respect, others just desperate to text the news. Clara tried to rally, stepping back into Charles's shadow, but her voice was almost lost under the buzz. We built our lives here, Will. Please don't do this. I met her gaze, steady. You made your choices, Clara. The crowd swallowed her up. Charles stomped away, snapping orders at a deckhand who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. The air was electric with humiliation and awkward triumph, exactly what nobody in their circle had ever expected. As the party thinned and the whispers grew, a couple people even recording the unraveling, I felt a tap on my arm. I turned, and there was Clara alone, eyes wide and glassy, her voice shaking. Will, wait. Please, please. I made a mistake. Just talk to me. Can we go somewhere private? I can't lose everything, not like this. As she actually reached for my arm, practically begging as partygoers watched with open mouths. I should have chosen you. We can fix this. Just don't throw me away, Will. I'm begging you. It was like all the roles had reversed at once. She clung to my sleeve in front of everyone, desperate and frantic, while Charles stormed off and the crowd gawked. Her new life burned down to ashes in 30 minutes flat. And everyone saw it. Clara trailed after me through the hallway, clutching her purse, heels scraping on the tile as she tried to keep up. The rest of the club melted away, just leftover music, laughter, and the steady drone of gossip. When I pushed into one of the Marina offices and let the door shut behind us, she finally let herself fall apart. She started right in, voice breaking. Will, just listen. Please. I panicked out there because none of this was supposed to happen. Charles is furious, and now people are talking like we're about to get thrown out. You have all the power. Can we just talk? Really talk for once? I kept my hands folded in front of me, leaning against the edge of the desk so I didn't have to look at her. You want to talk now? After all this time, after everything you put me through? She moved closer, pushing her hair out of her face, shaking. I know I hurt you, but it wasn't supposed to be like this. Charles, he made a lot of promises, and this place, the money, the lifestyle, it's all gone, Will. I need you. I'm sorry. Can't you forgive me? Start over? Maybe we both made mistakes. I almost laughed. She was crying now, but everything about it was practiced, the way she dabbed her eyes, the little gasps for breath. She'd always been able to turn on the waterworks when she wanted something. But this time, her voice had a raw edge, like she knew she was really losing her last lifeline. Clara, I said, steady, I believed in us right up until the minute you left. I gave you every ounce of attention I had. You made your call. You didn't just move on. You humiliated me publicly for the next rich thing you could find. She stepped in, hands out, almost pleading. I was lost, Will. I was desperate. You barely noticed me, and when Charles showed up, it felt like someone finally saw me. But he doesn't care. He never cared. He's already talking to other women, making deals behind my back. I can't go back to nothing. Please don't let me go back to nothing. You still know me better than anyone. I shook my head, keeping my tone as calm as I could. I know who you are now. I know what you value: status, attention, someone else's money. I wanted real life with you. You wanted a shortcut. There's nothing for us to fix because you were never planning to fix it with me. You were just waiting for something shinier. Her face twisted, desperation giving way to frustration. That's not fair. I tried for years to get your attention. You were always working, always chasing the next big deal. I just wanted to feel important. For you, important meant disposable, I answered, steady. You could have talked to me, but instead you staged your exit for the whole world to see. Now you're only here because Charles's world is falling apart and you don't like the feeling. That's not love, Clara. That's not even regret. That's survival. She paced in front of the window, mascara streaking her cheeks, every inch of her vibrating with raw nerves. If you just gave it a chance, if you let me prove I can be different. I cut her off. No. This is the last thing I'll ever say to you about us. I deserved honesty. I deserved respect. I deserved the truth, not an Instagram update and a yacht photo. You don't get to rewrite what happened just because it didn't work out the way you hoped. You're on your own from here. She slumped down into one of the office chairs, shoulders shaking, staring at the floor. The office felt impossibly small, like every bad memory, every excuse was pressing in on both of us. But I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel anything for her at all, honestly. Just relief, mixed with a strange, exhausted gratitude that it was finally out of my hands. A soft knock came on the door, and Benjamin poked his head in, eyebrows up. "Everything good, William?" I nodded, standing. "Yeah, everything's good." I straightened my jacket and stepped out into the breezy Marina night. Benjamin and two new investors were waiting, all smiles. As I walked away from the office, I glanced back once. Clara was alone in the glow of the desk lamp, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her, the weight of her choices closing in fast. Benjamin clapped me on the shoulder. "You did what you needed to do." "Yeah," I said, finally meaning it. "Let's get to work." The night carried their voices away as the door shut behind me, and Clara's last hope vanished with it. I showed up early at the dock the next morning, the air still cool, the marina quiet except for the slap of water against the hulls. Contractors were already at work ripping out old boards, shouting at each other over drills, but I ignored the chaos and stood at the edge of the pier, hands in my pockets. It felt right to be here for this. Benjamin joined me, coffee in one hand, folder in the other. He nudged my shoulder, a half smile on his face. "You look like a man about to watch history leave the harbor." I just nodded, eyes on Charles's yacht. The crew was moving fast. Lines untied, bags and boxes getting shoved onto the deck, Clara nowhere in sight. Charles himself wasn't on the bridge. He didn't even give a wave to the marina staff, just barked at his captain and disappeared below deck. The boat's engine started up, louder than they needed to be, like he wanted the whole place to know he was leaving. One of the junior dockhands, the kid I'd seen hustling all summer, passed by and smirked. "Guess the yacht life isn't all it's cracked up to be, huh?" He didn't wait for an answer, just jogged off, whistling. The yacht pulled away, making a slow, awkward turn out of the berth. The sun caught its name in gold as it drifted into the channel, smaller with every second, nobody on deck waving goodbye. A couple of the other owners watched from their slips, arms folded, not bothering to hide their relief. Benjamin clapped me on the back, his tone warm but blunt. "That's the last time you'll ever have to see that boat. Or them." I breathed out, slow and easy. That's all I wanted, just to be done. He handed me the folder, grinning. "We've got real work to do. You ready?" I glanced at the empty slip, feeling something heavy slide off my shoulders. "Yeah, let's get started." Behind us, a couple of Marina staff started joking. "Wonder where she's going to land next. Not here, that's for sure." I didn't look back.